Korean men are not dating, they're not even trying, and somehow that made Korea one of the most powerful gaming nations on earth. This is not a success story, this is a cope story, and it worked, built on the youth and sanity of an entire generation. Part 1, the dating market. Let me tell you what it's like to be an average Korean guy. You don't look like a K-pop idol, you're just a regular Asian guy. And in Korea, regular isn't enough. You're not rich. Korea has one of the highest youth unemployment rates in Asia. And for over a decade, it had the highest youth suicide rate among OECD countries. Behind every K-pop idol, there's a generation of young Koreans that nobody is making documentaries about, unless you're born rich and become an heir, or born pretty enough to become an idol. Outside of that, this is a land of no opportunities, surrounded by enemies on every side. North Korea up top, Japan to the right, China breathing down your neck, and a society that will crush you the moment you step out of the line. That's why Koreans call this country Hell Joseon. A living hell, but why not just date an average girl? Hell no. You wasted your youth and your fragile ego will never let that happen. Who you date symbolizes your masculinity, not because it's true, but because it's the only way they can express it. In Korea, there are two words you need to know. Pongpongnam, a dishwasher man, a guy who marries below his league. The insult isn't that he does chores, it's he married down. And toy bean girl, a woman who spends on luxury. The logic is if you're born pretty, you're still pretty in a rag. If you're born ugly, you're still ugly in luxury. So don't even try. Most women agree with this in Korea. Most women agree with this in Korea. Nobody questions it. Nobody believes it's sexist. They're obsessed with looks with no artistic code or taste. That's why some K-pop lacks depth and just imitating itself. A man who marries down is pathetic. A woman who spends is selfish. But the guy in a PC bound for 10 years, he's protecting his standards. So he protects his pride, opens the game, and tells himself he chose this. There's even a term, the Sampo generation, men who gave up on dating, marriage, and kids. Not because they wanted to, because the math didn't add up. So, what do you do when the real world tells you you're not enough? You log on. Part 2, the escape. PC bound. If you don't know what these are, let me explain. Late 1990s, Korea was hit by the IMF crisis. Families lost everything overnight. Fathers lost jobs. The middle class collapsed. And in the middle of all of that chaos, PC Bang open everywhere. It is a $1 1 hour computer, air conditioning, ramen, and nobody judging you. It's like mini PC cafes for a really cheap budget. For a generation of young Korean men who had nothing and felt like nothing, this was paradise. The game everyone was playing, StarCraft. No beauty requirement, no salary requirement, no family background check. Just your brain and your reflexes. For the first time, none of that other stuff mattered. They practiced obsessively 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, because outside that PC bang, nobody was waiting for them. Part 3, when cope becomes culture. Here's what it gets interesting. Thousands of young men, same game, same intensity, good players. You build an ecosystem. Korea invented professional esports before the rest of the world knew what esports was. In 2000, Korea had a TV channel, OGN, dedicated entirely to StarCraft. Regular people watched gamers the way Americans watch football. Players became celebrities. Teenage girls screamed for them. The same guys who couldn't get a date were now selling out stadiums. Let this sink in. Rejection created practice, practice created skill, skill created industry, industry created celebrities. League of Legends World Championships dominated by Koreans, PUBG, Lineage, Nexon, Korean companies, Korean money. The average guy who spent his youth in PC Bang, he built that, not the government, not the table, him with the 1,000 hours of lonely practice. Part 4. Here's the sad part. But here's what nobody talks about. Korea's gaming powerhouse. The industry is worth billions. The players are famous and Korean men are still not dating. Birth rate 0.72, the lowest of any country on earth. A country that cannot replace its own population. Korea is going to extinct. Most elderly, no kids, outside Seoul, no culture. The guys who built an empire out of loneliness are still lonely. The code worked so well it became a culture. The culture made billions, and those men are still in PC cafe at 2 a.m. winning games in a world that still makes them feel like they're losing. That's the story of Korean gaming, not telling just what people build when they have nowhere else to go. And honestly, that hits a little too close to home, doesn't it?